So we got another one here today, 2012 Chevy Malibu, real popular car. It's got the 3.6 in it, right here. 3.6 liter V6 VVT. Customer complaints was car overheating. Diagnosis revealed that the water pump was in fact leaking. Now the water pump is buried somewhere down in here. It's on the passenger side of the car. So yeah, if you've got a 2012 Chevy Malibu with a 3.6 and you can't find no videos on how to remove the water pump, stay tuned. I got your back. Alright, so I've got the car up in the air. Next thing you want to do, you want to bust these lug nuts loose, especially if you don't have a lift. Bust the lug nuts loose on the ground while the tire's still on the ground. Lift it up, unthread them by hand, pull the tire off. Of course, if you don't have a lift, you're going to be working on a jack. So, you know, I obviously understand that most of you guys don't have a lift. It's okay. So, next thing you're going to do after you get the tire off is you're going to pull this plastic cover off. We'll do that, I'll get right back. Okay, so I got that shield out of the way. Special note for you guys, I did have to take this entire wheel well. Runs all the way around here. I had to remove that. See, here it is here. And the reason is because this shroud that you pull out of the way here actually runs up all the way up underneath the front of the car. So I just got it loose and away, and I took a bungee cord and just kind of bungeed it. It's not gonna hurt it. That's what we're after right there. This pulley. Pulley right here. So we're gonna bust those 10mm bolts loose while there's still tension on the belt. It's gonna kind of hold that pulley steady while we do that. Once we get them loose, finger tight, we're gonna take the belt off, and then we're gonna take the bolts out the rest of the way, and then I'll get back to y'all. Okay, I've got these bolts finger tight. You can see this one here. I'm able to start unscrewing it with my two fingers up there. This is a very danger close job. It's very tight quarters, so just be prepared for that. Unless you want to go through the top and take a bunch of stuff out of there and add a lot of time, you know, this is how you're gonna have to do it. You know, you wanted to work on your Malibu in your driveway, buddy, you got it. So to get the belt off, now that I got those loose, you're gonna come up here. This is your tensioner. Looks like it's a 1/2-inch drive. Get a 1/2-inch socket wrench, put it up in there. You're not gonna be able to use any kind of reducers or expanders, so you're gonna have a 1/2-inch drive socket wrench. So, you know, don't try and cheapen it. Don't try and cheapen it. There's a right way and a wrong way. You don't want to break anything else. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get the belt out of here and get back with y'all. Alright, so I got the pulley off of there. You can see the water pump here, right here. That is the spindle that the pulley bolts onto. You got 4 bolt holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 that hold the pulley on. Once you get that off, you're looking at all of these 10mm bolts. You got a 10mm here, here, up in there. It's kind of blurry. Right there, above that one, and so on and so forth, all the way around. There's probably one in the top too. You just can't see it. I don't believe in taking the serpentine belt completely out of my way and out of the car. It's against my religion. So I keep that belt in there just to kind of hold semi the shape of where it goes whenever I put this thing back together. Be careful, because this is a 10mm bolt for the water pump. This is not. It is not a 10mm bolt. So, you know, be really careful, be really cautious, take your time, and make sure the bolts that you're taking out of there are the bolts that you need to take out of there. So if you put your wrench up in there and your 10mm is not fitting on the bolt you're trying to get, it's probably not the right bolt. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start taking these out. The best way to do that is the same as the pulley. you're gonna break these loose into where you can kind of start working them out with your fingers here, you know, and that'll kind of just help you with the chaos in these tight quarters. I mean, here's your body right here. You only have probably about 3.5 inches to work with, but you take those bolts off and you should be able to work it out of there. So let me get those bolts out of there, and yeah, I'll get back with y'all. Okay, so as you can see, I got these bolts. They're all loose enough to where I can get them by hand, even up there. Well, see it? Yeah, there we go. This one up here, that one right there, both of those are loose. I just want to touch on something real quick. If y'all do not have a long, thin 10mm with a little bitty shoulder on it, you really want to get one for this job. It's going to be the best tool for getting up in there to get those hard to reach 10mm. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, Josh, you didn't drain the coolant out of the radiator. However, are you going to do this with coolant still in it? I'll show you. How about that? I'm going to show y'all what this looks like here. Get the pry bar up in there. Oh, okay, cool. Not a whole lot of coolant's coming out of it. In fact, no coolant's coming out of it. Outstanding. So I don't know if you can see that. Let's see if I can get a better angle on it. There we go. You can see here the water pump is free. It is moving. Not getting a whole lot of coolant out of there. So it's probably safe to take out now. You do not have to drain the radiator to get to the water pump. As you begin to loosen the bolts around the water pump, coolant will begin to flow naturally out of the mating surface on the water pump. So you can actually see where it kind of drained down right here. I got a pan up underneath here, catches all that coolant. Those people that tell you got to dig off in here, your radiator drain is somewhere off in here. You can go, oh, there it is. There it is, right tucked up in there. You want to sit there and spend 45 minutes fighting to get to it, that's on you. I'm not about that life. I'll drain it right at the water pump, thank you very much. So I'm gonna get this water pump out of here, and I'll get back with y'all. Okay, so I got the water pump loose. It's up in there. Tried to sneak it out past the body and the balancer. It's just not gonna work that way. So I have some unfortunate news for you guys. You're gonna need a 3-jaw puller to go ahead and grab hold of that harmonic balancer. The way these things work is they have a, let me see if I can, they've got this rod that goes into the bolt hole for your balancer bolt, and that's so you don't destroy any threads or anything in there. And then these are the threads for the actual puller here. So as you tighten this thing down here, it's actually going to suck that harmonic balancer away and out. You got to be careful because this balancer is keyed. You can see right here, that little square right there, rectangular thing. That's actually a key. So whenever you get this out of here, make sure you recover the key. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start wrenching on this thing and pull this puller out so that I can get the water pump out. And once I get all this and the water pump out, you start cleaning mating surfaces and get ready to go in with the new water pump. I'll be right back. And I'm back. All right, I've got the harmonic balancer out of here now, using that 3-jaw puller. One thing you need to understand is halfway through pulling it, you may have to switch your rig up a little bit. I know I had to use 2 different shafts just because of distance. You want to make sure that you're putting like a cone fitting or something down in here, because if you just put if you just go to cranking on that puller, Then the threads get in here and eat the threads off of your crank bolt, your harmonic balancer bolt. That crank will be no good. You'll ruin it. Destroy the threads, destroy the car. So this right here, this is where your water pump used to be. You can see I took it out of here. This is the old gasket here. I'm gonna go ahead and easily, gently pull that off. It's a metal gasket. And then up in there, this is what you're working with right here. Got it out of there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a cloth, a razor blade, a couple things, get up in here, clean this mating surface off really well. You definitely drop my smoke. You definitely do not want any dirt, leftover gasket, or anything like that on this surface when you go in with the new pump. You don't want to do all this work just to put it back together and have it leaking. So make sure this surface is almost mirror finish clean as you can get it. Also, you want to make sure that there's no more coolant. See, I'm just touching here, and as you touch it, more coolant comes pouring out of it. So get you a vacuum tool, a pump, or maybe just some rags and towels, and go up in here and put them up in there. Dry that off as best as you can to prevent more coolant from dripping out. You can see it's all full of coolant right there. So draining the radiator really doesn't do anything for you. It'll take the coolant out of the radiator, but there'll still be water inside the block. So that's why I didn't drain the radiator first and just drained it straight from the water pump. With the harmonic balancer out of here, you're going to be able to clean that a lot better. You're going to have a lot better access to it. I might even recommend go ahead and pull the harmonic balancer first before you even loosen these bolts to finger tight like I showed you earlier. So yeah, with the harmonic balancer out, the water pump out, let's get back in here and start cleaning up this mating surface, and then I'll get back with you. Alright, new water pump's in there. You hang it in there on those 10mm bolts finger tight first, and then go ahead and torque them down one at a time all the way around until you got a pretty good seat on there. And that's how you do a water pump on a 3.6. Buildup is going to be the reverse order of the breakdown, so if you have to go back and watch the video a few times, go ahead, feel free. I'm glad I could help. Stay safe, and as always, keep wrenching.